Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing the SH Figuarts Son Goku Super Saiyan 4 from Dragon Ball GT. Now, I don't remember much of anything from GT beyond a few very key moments, like Super 17, Baby Vegeta, the Great Apes, Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, and Omega Shenron. All of the other fluff don't really remember all that much. Part of me does want to revisit the franchise and see if it was really as bad as I remember, or it was just sort of like the after effects of social media saying how bad it was. But that is for another time. But anyway, one of the major parts of GT was the Super Saiyan 4 transformation, and as much as purists of Dragon Ball don't like GT, for the most part, they do like Super Saiyan 4, and I am no different. It is a very cool transformation, even if it is non-canon, and it was smart of Tamashii Nations to make the first GT representation from their line being Goku, and the second being Vegeta. And shortly we will be getting Kid GT Goku, Pan, Trunks, who knows what else we'll get, hopefully Omega Shenron and Baby Vegeta, but that is for another time. Now, this was the introduction to what is now the 3.0 mold, and they went all out on this figure. It really needed to make a statement. And while I have already looked at the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta in the past, this was the first one that was released in the line and made everyone sort of stand up and pay attention to what modern SH Figuarts could be, because at the time they were milking the 2.0 body quite a bit and we needed a refresh, and this was such a great way to do it. So it is a standard SH Figuarts box with the clear window to the front and promo image on the side, the comic book panels, and all the different poses you can get him into on the back. Very standard stuff. Now, taken out of the box, you can see what we're dealing with. We have 4 alternate faces, a bunch of different hands, a tail, and a 10 times Kamehameha energy effect. Now, this is also the first time I believe they had the Kamehameha effect part actually connect into one of the hands. Before, it would just sort of have to rest between the character's fingers, and it was never that great. But I believe this was the first time that they actually had it solidly connect to the figure, so you could do some really cool dynamic poses with them. So far you can see it's a pretty good loadout. It comes with basically everything you need for GT Goku, but it's also nothing too crazy by some of today's standards depending on the figure release. It's very reminiscent of the recent released Legendary Super Saiyan Goku, whereas that one had a blue Kamehameha effect, this one's got a red one, had a bunch of different hands as well, but that Goku has an entirely separate head sculpt, which is really, really cool as well, but I believe he retailed at a higher price point than this Goku originally, and there's a reason why this Goku has been re-released in the past. But taken out of the box and put on a display, here he is, he's looking great. Super Saiyan 4 has got such a unique design. It's this like almost pinkish red fur texture, really bold bright pants, and wild black hair. Makes for one of the most unique Goku designs they've ever done. And I think it came at a time when people were pretty tired of Super Saiyan just being variations of blonde with different length hair or different style fringes, and this one was completely different because it changed not only the hair but the entire aesthetic of the character, brought back the tail that was synonymous with Saiyans for a while, and just sort of went all out design-wise. So it's a really cool look, and I think they nailed it in the figure form, especially with the introduction of 3.0, so they could sort of sculpt it however they wanted because this was sort of unprecedented at this point, and just looks really, really good. I do like, if you put him next to the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, that there is a noticeable height difference and bulk difference. This is the sort of baseline that I'd like to see for a 3.0 Vegeta somewhere down the line, but it's also cool to see that they also changed the fur color between releases, because they do genuinely have different fur color between Goku and Vegeta. So it's a nice bit of consistency. But moving right into posability, he's got a ball joint at the head and neck. His little sort of like sideburny bang things that hang off to the sides are on ball joints as well, so you can move those out of the way. He's got 2 pieces of hair that can move at the back as well on ball joints. Not super free, but it's enough to get a bit of movement out of the head. and with that he can look down really far and up pretty far as well. His arms can move out that far and can rotate all the way around. There is a swivel at the upper arm, a bend at the elbow, as well as a hinge at the wrist. We also have a butterfly joint in the arm, which allows for some Kamehameha poses without too much issue. There is a ball hinge at the tail, which allows for a little bit of swivel and rotation. There is a ball joint in the torso, which allows for crunching in side to side, and it doesn't really break the sculpt too much, which is cool. There is a bit of waist swivel, but mine is really tight and squeaky and I don't like it. The legs can split that far, which is great. He can kick forward that far and back pretty much not at all because of the sculpted in butt, which is one of the faults of the 3.0 design. He's got a bend at the knee, as well as a hinge and pivot at the ankle. So pretty good posability. It feels good to play with, which is the really important part. And while you lose the sort of back posability of the leg in the 3.0 design for the most part, I feel like what you gain in general movement and structure of the body for everything else more than makes up for that loss between 2.0 and 3.0. Now, for faces, we've got a neutral face, a smirking face, a teeth-gritted angry face looking to the side, and a shouting face. Again, very similar to the Legendary Super Saiyan Goku, or the Legendary Super Saiyan Goku is very similar to this one. But with those four faces, you can get a decent amount out of them. It's pretty much what you need out of any Goku. Yes, it's pretty vanilla, but I think it's still good. And he looks great in a Kamehameha pose, and even better with the Kamehameha effect put on. This is one of the few figures that can connect his hands together to do the Kamehameha pose without issue. It's weirdly hard to pull off with most Goku figures, and ever since they did the 3.0 bodies with their new bulk and new butterflies, you've been able to get both hands together without much issue. But he looks great next to Vegeta in different action poses. They just look great together. They feel like a match, which is great. I really want to see a Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta and to come with fusion hands for both of these figures, but that would be much further down the line. The Kamehameha effect itself looks really nice. This is a redo of the ones that they had been doing at this point, but with a little slot in it that it can connect into the hands, and it just works pretty much flawlessly. And with all the different faces, you can get Goku into some really nice poses. I feel like a lot of his standard static ones look really great just because of how vibrant the Super Saiyan 4 design is, and it just looks really good. But of course, any charging Kamehameha pose looks the best, because this is one of the best effect parts they've ever had in a standard release Figuarts. And much like a lot of the other 3.0 figures that I've looked at, I'm just confident in playing around with this. No real issues at all. The only thing that I came across was that my waist joint was a little bit too tight, and I don't quite like moving it just because it squeaks and I have to use quite a bit of force to move it. I feel like I'll break something if I use it too much, so that's probably the only downside. I'm sure that's not a consistent thing across all releases, but that's just something to note. Everything else in this figure is pretty much amazing. All of the minor paintwork that it has is really good. Everything is clean, all the faces look great, and the new structure that they've done to make this figure work is great, like the different parts of the hair moving freely so that you can pose him in dynamic areas, looking around. He is not limited in pretty much any area. He's just a fun figure to play around with, and even if this was the only GT figure we got, it would have been an amazing one. And it is nice to see that the line is gaining more traction and they're going to do even more characters from it, so only time will tell how good the GTA line ends up. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.